and all of a sudden it's time to let people in. Well, I didn't go back to my place in line. He just let me in first. So, like,
oh my
God! I ended up being front row in front of Gaga for the satellite dive bar. Couldn't believe it.
Step your kitty up.
하나 둘셋 안녕하세요 Step Your Kitty Up입니다. 안녕하십니다.
Hey, and I'm Jeremy. Welcome back to Step Your Kitty Up.
Yes, if this is your first time, go ahead and like and subscribe and hit that notification icon because you know you're gonna want to be on this channel some more because we got some good shit coming for you today.
And if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. We appreciate you.
We've got a good one for you today.
Yeah, today's going to be a super exciting day.
So, today we have a very interesting video for you because this is really kind of out of our comfort zone and norm. We're just doing something that we think you're going to really enjoy.
Yeah, and we want to bring you things that continue to be a bit nerdy and niche and do a little deep dive into the fandoms that we love.
Well, and we know you're not going to get this perspective any other way.
Right, so we're going to bring it to you every boy.
We have a very exclusive interview today.
I don't know how exclusive it is, but it's very.
Oh my god.
Today, we have a Gaga legend, a Gaga expert, a Gaga icon. Look, if you are a part of the Gaga fandom, you know who this is.
So, we're going to be interviewing Katharine Styles-Burroughs today.
Also known as Chica Skaz. You might know her as a moderator for Gaga Daily.
Oh my god. And she is a self-proclaimed audio archivist.
Girl, we all proclaim it. I must say, what did I put? I put, before she told me audio archivist, I put media librarian, curator, archiver, and protector. That's what I listed.
Gaga expert. We just had to get that down.
Hi, welcome, Chica. Welcome to our YouTube channel.
Welcome
Thank
to
you
Step Your
so
Kitty
much
Up.
for joining us.
Oh my god, this is so cool.
Thank you so much for having me.
How'd you like that introduction?
I thought that's the best introduction I've ever had. Thank you so much.
I wanted to gas you up today, girl. No, you deserve...
Yeah, you deserve all the recognition.
And people really do know you as that. Like, you are known for what you do in the Little Monster community, and have done for...
Like, anyone who's been on
like
Gaga Daily
decade
before
plus.
knows.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
So it's real.
Also, I do want to point out that each year, Katharine has organized a Gagaween mixtape.
Oh, yes.
Of fan remixes from the community.
Oh, man.
And
Gagaween
puts
is one of
that
my
out,
favorite times of year.
So, and that has been a selfless thing that she has organized each year. I've been lucky to be a part of that. But, like, we're talking this level.
And Christmas too.
Oh, my gosh.
Christmas too. You did Snoop Dogg vs. Christmas Tree.
Oh, yeah.
Yes!
That's right. I do remember. Yeah.
Oh my god, and we're going to plug links for all of this in the video.
We'll link you to the albums. They can download all the albums.
Oh, yeah. She's got, like, mega links.
Since 2012.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I want to ask you a question, just as a general start-off question.
Yes.
And I think as just a trio of little monsters here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was your moment where you went from just casual radio listener to, oh, I'm a little monster, I'm a part of this community, this is, like, I feel my soul connection to this fandom?
You know, I would have to say it was probably the first time I heard Just Dance on the radio. It was around, I seem to recall 4 in the morning. I was working an early morning shift. I heard the opening chords.
Yes!
I didn't even know at the time who the hell she was. Lady Gaga? I thought it was a I didn't know what it was. And then I got into it.
Right, of course.
I didn't have a computer yet. So I asked a friend, I said, hey, I really love this one girl, this Lady Gaga. Can you make me a CD of, like, all her stuff? And the girl goes, yeah. So a week later, I go by her house and she gets me a CD. And I thought, oh, cool, this is the Fame. Well, what I didn't know was it wasn't the Fame. It was pieces of songs from the Fame. And then it had some of the demos, like Shake Your Kitty. It had Wonderful. Like, they were all on this CD, and so I was very surprised when I went to Target to go buy the Fame.
And it wasn't there.
Yeah, those weren't on there.
Oh my god. Okay.
Because they were demos. I was a fan in 2008 from the moment I heard Just Dance, and I kept it kind of secret and low-key for a while because I knew if my mother didn't approve of Gwen Stefani, ain't no way in hell she's going to approve of Lady Gaga.
That is the realest shit I've ever heard.
And my mom used to say, oh, that Gwen Stefani, she's such a crotch spreader. I go, Mom, it's okay. I love Gwen. It's okay, Mom. She's not a crotch spreader. It's just like...
I'm sorry, crotch spreader?
That's... Man, what a title. Yes. I want a name tag with that on it, like Jeremy Crotch Spreader. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's too vulgar.
Not at all. Ma'am.
I mean, I grew up in a pretty conservative, a liberally conservative household, and so that was my reality. So I finally I got my first computer in 2010, and I was just downloading. Mm-hmm. I went to Gaga I found Gaga Daily. I went to the official Lady Gaga forums. Do you remember those? They were all black with size 2 white font.
Yes. Old school.
And somebody said, I remember reading somebody was saying, screw this place, I'm going to Gaga Daily. And I thought, what's Gaga Daily? I should check that out.
Pause. Let me
go check on that. How long did it take from your first time going to the site before you were a moderator for the site?
I was on the site from June 2010 to, I want to say, maybe January 2011 before they approached me with a job. I mean, I wasn't even looking for one, but they offered me. They said, hey, we see you posting around the forums. Would you like to join the team? Oh, yeah, cool.
Perfect. You're all right.
Media was my thing. They put me in charge of audio, media, photo, and video, and I mostly was in audio. I kind of regret now not downloading and saving more video at the time. I didn't think ahead in that aspect, but we're trying now.
We had no idea.
To go back for a moment to that size 2 white font, the black Lady Gaga forums on Interscope.
Uh-huh.
To go back to that for a minute, my friends and I at Gagaverse, we found a hidden URL for what used to be that website. We archived that entire forum top to bottom, and that is currently stored on Gagaverse, the entire thing for historical record. And we can link you to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely put that link down in the description so people can check that out too. That's fantastic.
So cool.
Wait, is that public?
That's totally okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to thank Sarah Nobles because she's the head of Gagaverse, and she wrote the code to rip from that website. I mean, she's a genius, and I love her forever. I love you, Sarah, if you're watching. But she and the Gagaverse team, I kind of was like, hey, I want to go do this, and the team would help me visualize what I saw, the visions in my brain that I don't have the technological expertise to do. As far as Gaga preservation, we were able to do. So we've been able to do a lot of that. Like, we've done so many fascinating, cool things in the Gaga preservation universe. And it's great.
Oh, that's so amazing. So this is going to be a weird question. Do you have any way to even know, how much archival media you have?
I have about 10 external drives. I have 2 notebooks, the book kind that have to be upright.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like the one that I was talking about.
Uh-huh.
I have 4 laptops. I do really want to start investigating more about cloud storage because in many ways I am the one person, I'm the one copy, and there has to be another copy of this or my life's work will be spoiled. I'll need to be hospitalized because I won't be able to handle it.
And I'll need to be hospitalized. That's the quote.
Right.
I will need to, if something happens to my data, I know this sounds very vapid and people can say, how could you say that about, when people are dying and when there's hunger and starvation and injustice in the world, but I have to selfishly, sadly declare that yes, I would have to be hospitalized if something happened to my data because I've put my soul into it for so long.
Right. Okay. So have you listened to Chromatica?
I have.
Let me ask, is that a stupid question?
Let's be real.
No, it's not a stupid question. I I listened to it for the first time on air with another program's show. I was a guest on Planet Chromatica, and they played the whole album for all four of us. So we got to have our raw first reactions in that hour video. Because Chromatica goes by so quickly. It's like this beautiful, quick thing. Like, it's just, you want it to last longer.
I agree. I know. What was your initial reaction to it, and then where are you now then?
I think my initial reaction was a combination of amazement, a little bit of sadness, awestruck by the beauty of it. A little bit more sadness because it was so, and I felt like more could have been expanded upon. But it's a beautiful album, and the more I listen to it, because you really only get into it like on the fourth or fifth listen. The more I get into it, the more I realize all the cohesive, beautiful pieces and all the different colors of what she wants us to see.
Right.
Like, I realize more how it knits together and how it has an actual story and a moral and a declaration. She's declaring where she stands very precisely, so she cannot possibly be misunderstood. And it's like bad and good. She's got some hard truths in there, that she's not going to sugarcoat it. She's going to tell it like it is, even though the little monster do not want to hear it. But there were some moments in there that I felt the fan base may have brought upon itself, because there are aspects of the fan base that are, there are people who really bring her down, for lack of
toxic.
a word. Yeah, it's toxicity. Thank you.
So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Base.
I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things that I wrote down when I was kind of going through some lyrics was in Replay, when she says, "The monster inside you is torturing me. The scars on my mind are on replay." And when I first heard that, I took it, look, you can't be a little monster and ever hear Gaga say monster in a song and not in your mind go, is she talking to us?
Yeah.
And so when I first had that moment, I was like, oh yeah, because if there's anything painful in her songs that she's dealt with, we just demand that she plays it over and over at shows. Like, we are the thing that causes this pain on replay.
Well, and the same thing too, whenever she's talking about, you love the paparazzi, love the fame.
Oh, and Fun Tonight.
Yeah, even though it causes me pain.
It causes me pain.
And so that's very much that's definitely coming at us, where she talks about, y'all bitch because of art pop and Joanne and Cheek to Cheek, but then y'all don't realize that I was so hurt during this time when I was making this music.
Yeah.
Like,
that it means something different to her when she sings it.
Right, because those songs, it's very much like whenever you're in middle school and you have that first love or whatever, and then it's like every time you hear the song and you're in that first relationship, that album was her first relationship with fame. And so she hears those songs differently. What's
been on repeat for you? What's your repeat song right now?
I would say Sign from Above and Alice are really, and Plastic Doll is a good contender.
Ooh.
I really love the juxtaposition. I can't quite hear the Skrillex. I know it's there. I keep wanting for the drops and the distinct Skrillex, but I feel the undertones of the Skrillex. So,
is Skrillex one of the producers?
Sonny Moore. I think it's Sonny Moore.
Yeah, Sonny Moore.
Which one?
Sonny Moore, yes.
Sonny Moore from Sonny Moore was, for those of you watching, Sonny Moore was actually a member of From First to Last. He was the lead singer, and Sonny Moore is just incredibly talented, and people shit on Skrillex because of the Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites or whatever, but he's got crazy talent.
He actually is very talented. What song do you do?
Plastic Doll. I have a crazy story too. Plastic Doll.
It's one of my
favorites.
Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, tell me your crazy story about Skrillex.
Okay, so there's Born This Way.
Right.
Have you heard Die This Way?
Is that a remix that he did?
It's a remix Skrillex did, and it's a very sad story in a way, because Skrillex did 1 minute of it, 1 minute of the remix with Gaga's voice, just 1 minute long. And then his laptop was stolen from his hotel room. So when that happened, he didn't have the part to ever remake it. So all we have of that is 1 minute long, version of the song, and then fans in Audacity took the pieces, what was left from that 1 minute that he was able to release, to make an extended version. But it is basically one of the best remixes of Born This Way you'll probably ever hear, and I'll have to link you. It's called Died This Way.
Oh my gosh, yes! Oh, that's awesome.
I'm sure we used it on a Gagaween compilation.
Okay, this is why you're here today.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check on that. I can't, because I don't think I've heard that.
Oh, you will talk about putting it on repeat. For me, I believe I
My
repeated
face,
it for
I'm like-
weeks. I mean, oh, yes! Because remixes are just, this is how I survive between eras. I eat remixes.
Right. That is real talk right there.
God. I'm kind of curious because you being someone who has listened to so much Gaga and just know even like the stuff that nobody else knows. What, as far as listening here, and you've got your 3 acts of Chromatica, you know, you've got Chromatica 1, 2, and 3. What is your favorite Chromatica interlude? But then what is your favorite act as a whole?
Ooh.
Oh, wow, that's a big one. I think my favorite Chromatica interlude, and I may be biased because of Stupid Love and the intro to Stupid Love, I really think it's the first one that goes into Alice, because it's just so textured.
Yes.
It's really textured, and I love how it flows.
It's
and
triumphant.
even though on my player, there's like a gap on my CD player between track 1 and track 2 that I've got to get rid of.
Oh my god.
It's rude. But there's this little gap. But I still love it very much.
Oh,
In
man.
fact, one of the fans on Gaga Daily just made an extended version of all the songs perfectly spliced so you can listen to one track. I'll have to link you that.
Oh, very cool.
Like a continuous stream.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Continue to stream, because how raunchy can we get on this?
As raunchy as you want to be, girl.
So this is like the orgasm that's over too quickly, and you want to keep recapturing it.
Yes.
So you keep rewinding. You keep replaying it to help you hit that same high again.
Oh man, that's such a mood.
That's a big mood, yes.
Then what is your favorite?
Of the...
Of the yeah, like
I want to hear what you guys think.
You go first.
okay. I'm biased as well because for me the Stupid Love the Stupid Love trailer where you get that Chromatica 1 and you don't even know it. And then being able to start the album and you hear that being, you know, quote, reprised, I guess, but it's just like featured at the beginning where you didn't expect to get it again. I love that because as a musician, I love the way that track flows. Kind of like you said, it's just so, it's full, it's melodic, it's triumphant. Like it feels like you're gonna overcome anything. But then the way it goes into Alice, yes. And so I think honestly, like while I love the way that transitions into Alice, I do think that my favorite, you know, Chromatica act is Act 3. Because Sign from Above is probably my favorite song on the album. I just, every time I hear it, it's not what you expected because you see Elton John and you're thinking, I'm going to get that speechless performance that she did at the Billboard Music Awards.
And it was not that. Like, it was not just a piano duet. Like, this is the most relevant Elton has sounded on pop radio.
And the way that he does that growl and like that... Oh my god!
Like, it's great. It's great.
He sounded a 180 from a total 180 orally to me from his broadcast he just did on TV for the coronavirus.
Yeah, for the benefit. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more with that.
Well, and honestly, the way that because it talks about the sign splitting in two, and if those are the way it splits in my because I take that. The way the song is versus the feature, I take it as that is the duality of that sign is her and Elton, and so I just love that. And if it's not, it's not. But
we'll talk about the lore here. In a
second, that's how
I want to read that part too.
Ooh, yeah.
It's like when cells separate when the baby forms in the womb and the cells are separating and multiplying.
Oh yeah, mitosis.
One cell
Yeah. Well, and there's something about the way those two voices sounded together. Like,
girl.
Oh, her range is amazing.
The range!
So, okay, let me ask you, as someone who has spent probably a third of their life listening to a Gaga song in their ear at any given moment, what do you hear different about her vocal technique in this album versus even just as far back as art pop? Because after all the jazz work, the Sound of Music work, the Star is Born work, like, I feel like her vocals have evolved and matured in a really amazing way. But
Damn.
I want to ask somebody who literally just hears this voice all the time, what do you notice about the growth?
Well, I would have to say I notice you can tell that whatever vocal coaching that she's had over the years, she's really refining, and she's being more comfortable to be her true self. She's not sticking with just the sounds that she had in the Fame or even the sounds that she had in art pop. And she's not having quite the same freewheeling that she had with the jazz. Obviously, it's a different style of music.
Right.
But I sense that it's very disciplined, and it's entirely at her comfort level. It's like she's at her own level of discipline, and it's also what works for her. She's not bending to fit other people's visions of how they think she should sound. She's totally comfortable, at least from what I'm hearing. And I'm not an expert. I'm just like an obsessed fan.
Super fan, yeah.
What I'm hearing.
That makes you an expert, though.
Yeah, but that makes you a subject matter
on
expert.
this video, you're the expert then.
Yeah, from my personal opinion, I feel like she has a controlled freedom. If that isn't an oxymoron, I feel like she's just like, screw what other people think. I'm going to sing it the way I want. You know, I mean, at least that's kind of the vibe I get from it.
Yeah.
But these great little moments, I hope that I'm remembering the right song at the right moment, because I've been listening to it so much that I can't remember what's what anymore. But to answer that question, there are a few moments when I hear the vocal style of Paper Gangster will flash for a minute in the pan.
There it is.
Or the vocal style from Boys, Boys, Boys will be like a little flash in the pan. And then it'll fade. I'll just hear some of the old Gaga, that she'll hit the right note or the right tone, and my mind will go back 10 years. It's
because there's one, I can't remember, there's one moment where I said, oh, that's her fashion voice. That's her Liza Minnelli moment. Is it on Babylon?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, she's got her Liza Minnelli moment. Good,
Also,
good job.
fashion walked so Babylon could run.
Yeah, very much.
We're just going to go ahead and get that on film.
Please put that on a t-shirt.
Fashion walked so Babylon could run. It's very true.
Honestly, I tweeted about it today. Art pop walked so Chromatica could run. And there are so many people who talk shit about art pop, and it's just, art pop was such a conceptual album, but it was very much the departure of what she was supposed to be. And it's very interesting. I wanted to point out something, because you mentioned how in this album she feels controlled freedom is how you described it. And I love that, because she's actually been on record with an interviewer before where they talk about her previous vocal coach, and she said basically like this vocal coach had just told her whole life her pop voice was wrong. So she spent so long trying to like, how is this voice supposed to sound, before she realized my voice is fine. Like, this is how I do pop music, you know?
Right.
And so for her to be able to have that control now that she's done the jazz, now that she's done the rock and the, you know, the whatever, I think it's so awesome for her to now know the true range of her voice. Like, I like that you brought that up.
I want to get a little bit into the lore of Chromatica, and where she maybe represents some of that stuff. So in the interview that she did with Zane Lowe, have you seen that?
I've seen almost all of it. I've seen it in pieces.
I know, it's long.
Right.
Okay, so I'll read this. She says, there's a theory that the whole world was created by a feminine sound wave, and that feminine sound wave saw what they thought was their father below them and fell to be with their father, but it was really actually a reflection of him from behind them. So they fell into an abyss and broke into two, And then there were two galaxies that were born. And one was good and one was evil. The evil one is the one where evil things pretend to be God, and we believed in them, and we divided. And then we started to argue and hate each other, and that is the world I believe I live on. But my understanding of God is that it's a sign. I believe God began with a sound. So it was just interesting to me when she kind of said this, because she said, this world is how I make sense of things, that Chromatica is this world that she created to make sense in her mind of this world
this
around
current
her.
reality, yeah.
Right. So I thought that was an interesting concept. Do you remember when the Born This Way video came out? And there was so much discussion on what does this mean and what does, like, I really felt like she was telling a story.
There was a narrative
there too, yeah, that maybe we didn't get to explore. And I almost feel that in this a little bit too. Like, it was a very different origin story of birth and stuff, but I don't know. I see her a lot examining these legendary origin stories in her works. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you remember that from Born This Way? How the fans were just like, oh, we were digging into the symbolism of that video.
I remember that the video was tough for some people to take at first because you had people who either hated it or loved it. And there was a lot of symbolism. I mean, at that time, one of the biggest things you saw on Google was that Gaga was somehow part of the Illuminati and crazy
Oh my
things.
God.
I mean, so you had right-wing conspiracy theorists and, let's see, like, you had all kinds of things going on at that time that were influencing what the fans were seeing and how they were interpreting what's going on. And so to look at what Gaga was putting out at that time, it was very complex and it's very similar to the Myths and Legends idea. And at the time, I think she was looking, and talking to some of the top intellectual minds at the time. Like, she was talking to Deepak Chopra, and for a while she was talking with the Dalai Lama. And like, she was really getting up there with some of the top intellectual minds on serious spiritual matters and matters of the globe and matters of the world. I mean, she wasn't just that rah-rah bitch anymore.
Right.
I mean, she was going for like serious intellectual probings of humanity. I mean, from that same year, you had the Born This Way Foundation literally born. So you had this progression of where what she wanted Born This Way to be was the empowerment song for our generation and generations under us and generations above us even to retroactively become part of. But I know where I'm going with this. I guess what I'm trying to say is that she wasn't just talking the talk, she was walking the walk. She's talking with all these different people on different levels, spiritually and emotionally, and she's learning and educating herself, and she's taking those references back to us and showing us art so we can look at it ourselves and start to examine ourselves and come to terms with the music. What does this mean to me? How can I improve my life? How can I look at this and take something from it and learn and start doing good in the world and showing and practicing the kindness that Gaga's preaching? I mean, in many ways, to people who may not be open to religion, she provides them like a Christ-like avenue. What would Gaga do?
Right, absolutely. Right. Because she's always fighting for the underdog and injustice. Very much,
it's a give back notion. Like, she even talks about, like, in the interview, she talks about not even wanting to release Chromatica during right now because the world is on fire. And she's like, how can I help? Yeah. My album's not important right now. But then also releasing it and knowing that this album can unify people.
It can be healing in some way.
This message of you have a place and you do belong can be healing to some people who don't have that. So...
Yes.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Right.
For sure. Oh.
And that was a double-edged sword for her, too, when you think about it. To release or not to release, with all that was going on, to even come near self-promoting when you have people dying in her hometown and all over the world. I mean, especially in New York. I'm sure that was a huge double-edged sword. Because we were prepared, or at least some of the older ones in the fan base, I don't know about the young ones, they were flipping their shit. But we were prepared to have a later album release date, like in December, after all this was
Right,
over.
we're like, well, I guess we'll see.
And if there's
Yeah,
even
and
a
all of a
tour.
sudden it surprised us. And then you had these dark forces. I mean,
Big mood.
double-edged sword again. They're not all dark forces, but you had the threat of leaks is always behind her like a tiger
Right.
with bated breath. You don't know whether somebody's just gonna hack into her stuff and like ruin her plans for her promotion. I mean, I remember many years ago I used to feel so excited when a new Gaga song would leak, but again I had tunnel vision. I was being selfish. It didn't occur to me
Yeah.
the ramification of how it's gonna fuck up my favorite artist's career or her life. I mean,
That's it.
I didn't realize I was a selfish fan. I admit that publicly, you know. And to this day, I still, if I see a leak on Gaga Daily, I download it first and then I report it.
We like to keep it very real around here.
Right. Well, and
She's
you're
like,
like,
that's on you, girl. I got my copies.
well, and then we have video footage of her talking about, I've got like 4 laptops and 17 terabytes and like,
I don't know. I hope I don't get subpoenaed, girl.
Oh God.
oh my god, we're just kidding. Okay, so
No, but you do a lot to preserve Gaga's legacy. I think that's important. I think that's beautiful.
so back to Chromatica.
Oh yeah, back to that
I just-
old thing.
I wanted to kind of talk about, is there, because we've had a lot of discussions amongst ourselves after having about a week or so, to listen to it. Is like, there's not a song we don't like. There's not a song that when we hear it, we want to just skip it, or we're not having the full desire. Have you gotten there yet? Do you have a song that you're not immediately latching onto?
I don't know if it's just survivor guilt for some of the stunts I've pulled, but I feel sorry sometimes listening to replay because not that it's my fault that there are bad Twitter monsters, but I feel empathetically bad that there are bad Twitter monsters even though they exist.
Right.
I feel bad about that.
Yeah.
And I know I can't be world police and all that, and I know on Gaga Daily, I mean, as a moderator, I feel that there should be free speech. But the thing is at what point does it go from being free speech to just being downright offensive? There's always this line of yes, no, what's right, what isn't right, and how far do I be lenient with them? Because I know, okay, these are young kids, they're going to mouth off, they're going to make mistakes, they're going to get themselves in trouble and wish they hadn't have said that later and want to come back on the site, and they've been banned, and I can't sit and warn them. So it's difficult for me. So when I hear her talking about little monsters torture me on replay, it's like, oh, I feel that one in the heart.
Right.
Yeah.
But it could be, and I think she did say in the interview, I'm not talking about little monsters there, but part of me's like, yes, you are.
Right. Like,
Lady, you're one of us. You
I-
have emotions.
we can read into your 3 different meanings that you have for everything you say, Stephanie. We know.
Well, but to be fair, though, it does, because of where Replay sits in the album, being in Chromatica 2, in the same vein as 911 and Plastic Doll, we have to take that into consideration, because that is definitely the self-reflection act as far as, like, mental health goes and where she sits. You have to take into consideration that in Replay, it's not just the scars that we've created as little monsters with our toxicity, but also the scars that have been created through this entire process. And then she sits there and she's going through all this mental health, and the scars on my mind are on Replay, or your scars on my mind are on Replay. And it's not just her, it's other people's trauma. And so kind of like when she talks about having to, like, she made Joanne to try to heal for her dad, and then she realized she couldn't, and that's how LG6 even became a thing. So, and she had to, like, find herself to heal. So I think that's kind of a cry for, I can't do this anymore. I can't heal.
Status quo cannot keep on.
Right.
Yeah.
From the very beginning, when she would take a half an hour to comfort, I mean, one of my friends was telling me how she brought her son to the Best Buy signing in 2009 in Los Angeles, And Gaga took an extra half hour to calm him down because he was crying and he was, this was back in 2009, Fame Got era, but she actually took extra time with him. She will take time with people. I know when she was backstage with Emma, the famous Gaga Daily mod who now works for the Born This Way Foundation.
Right.
She took hours, I think 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours with Emma and her family. I mean, Gaga invests serious time with those who are less fortunate, whom she cares about, or those who are having a really tough time. I mean, and so she takes on, being an empath, she's taking on all those feelings.
Right.
And she has to have a balance for that. And I feel like younger fans aren't as circumspect. And younger fans on Twitter, and even that might even be biased of me to say younger. I don't know for sure they're younger. But like there are fans on Twitter who aren't as circumspect in remembering the toll that all of this is taking on her to emotionally absorb all these things.
As a Gaga fan, where does Chromatica sit in your ranking of albums? I'm not going to make you tell me your full rank of albums. I think if you were a true little monster, that's like traumatic in and of itself to try to do on, but
which one of my children do I love more than the other?
That's it. That's the tweet.
To compare it with the others, I mean, obviously the Fame and the Fame Monster double pack CD will probably remain my favorite of all time for various reasons, just because it was such a nostalgic, perfect, life-changing moment. I feel like, I think she'll probably go down in history with Bad Romance as probably one of the most iconic songs of her career.
Right.
Arguably.
Pop
People
music.
say Born This Way or Just Dance, but I think Bad Romance is like the magnum.
There was something about that song that just caught everyone. Yeah. Didn't you get to meet Lady Gaga and hand her a flash drive full of things that you had curated over the years? Like, what was that about? Okay, so how I don't even think I even got a full story from you. Like, how did that happen? Like, because that's so awesome that you got to show her what your passion is. And in this fandom, your passion.
I wish that I had had more time, because they really only give you about 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and it's so hard to explain in 10 or 15 seconds with your idol when you're already stressed, you got security behind you and they're already tugging your arm. It's really hard to express what you want to say. But it happened in 2 parts. So I got really, really lucky one day that they were filming the 3 dive bar shows that they did. They filmed one in Los Angeles. And one of my good friends, Timothy Cox, he sent me a text message. He says, "Have you checked your email today?" And I was at work, and like I didn't check my email that much when I was at work, because it would mean I'd have to use cell phone data, and I just wasn't doing that much. And I was like, "No, I haven't." Why? And he's like, "Oh, you're gonna have to check your email like right now." And I was like, "Okay." So I like kind of snuck off to a corner, and I'm like checking my email, and there was an invite to the Satellite dive bar in Silver Lake, Los Angeles, and I couldn't believe it. And it was sent to me because Tim told Lane, I guess, that I might be interested, and I write for Gaga Daily. And
oh my God!
It's one of those things that you need to respond right away if you want to be on the list of people allowed in.
Right.
And so I did. So I went home and I was like, "Mom, we have to drive to Silver Lake like now. I have to get dressed now. There's a Gaga show that I'm able to attend tonight right now. It's free." And then it was just like a blessing from God, because it really tells you how much music is the unifier. Because when I arrived, I went down and showed my wristband, the email, and all that, the things you have to do to prove that you're legitimately supposed to be there. And I was interviewing people in line, and I met Tim there, of course, because he was living in LA at the time, and he was in line, and there was the LA Rivington Rebels, her big LA fan base was there, and of course they were in the front of the line, because they always get to the front of the line, and they're I don't know how they have day jobs, they just are always there, wherever she is, whenever she is. Like,
that's awesome.
No shade, I respect her. I respect them 100%. They do their thing. But like, I was interviewing people, like in the line, like man on the street, like, how are you? What do you think about the show today? Kind of thing. Because I love to write about these things when they're. And I struck up a conversation with the security guard at the front of the line. And somehow we got on my hobby, which is remixes and Gaga sound. And he says, oh, well, maybe you've heard of my nephew. He does a lot of remixes. And I said, I probably have. I'm really all over SoundCloud all the time.
Right.
And so he's rattling off his nephew's name. And I look in some of my cloud files that I had everything on the cloud, and I was like, holy shit, I downloaded this kid's remixes months ago. And this is your nephew? And so I was showing him on the phone to the security guard, hey, you know what? I actually am familiar with your nephew. He couldn't believe that I was familiar with his nephew.
Oh!
I worked for Gaga Daily. And so he was like, we were talking. Now the security guard was at the front of the satellite, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he and I are talking about his nephew, and all of a sudden it's time to let people in. Well, I didn't go back to my place in line. He just let me in first. So, like,
oh my God!
I ended up being front row in front of Gaga for the satellite dive bar. I couldn't believe it. It was like it was meant to be.
I'm like hot. I'm like overheating for you. Like, oh my God!
So like it goes to show you that like God or the higher power or whatever is like taking note of what I'm doing.
The sign.
And, like,
The sign.
put me in the right place at the right time. And like she was 18 inches from me the whole night. And it's like, I mean, and I didn't get to record. The one show I didn't get to bootleg because we're not allowed to bring in recorders, but Bud Light did all the recording for me.
Oh, nice! So yeah, so you still have a recording of it.
Oh my God!
It was just amazing. I mean, I was blessed by God. I have no other way to say it other than I was at the right place at the right time, and God was like, hey, you're going to be front row at this Lady Gaga show because you worked really hard. It's like, wow, cool. Fantastic. Thanks, God.
That's awesome. That's
that.
so awesome.
To answer your question about the handing her thing,
Oh yeah.
it was that night that everybody stood in a line after the show. If you weren't stupid and left, and of course nobody would have known they were being stupid, but they did open the doors to have people leave the satellite. They got a lot of people out of there, but the people that remained, what none of us knew was she was selling Joanne there, and that you could buy a copy of Joanne for $20 and she'd sign it. And unfortunately, there was no re-entry for all those poor people who'd already left.
Oh.
I ended up staying behind. And so I used all the money I had with me to buy 3 copies of Joanne, one for the team of people at Gagaverse, one for a good friend of mine who was out in the line, and then one for myself to have her sign. And so I got to meet her and talk with her a little bit, and I told her about my archives, and I was like, hi. She says, hey, Queen. And I'm like, oh, my God, how sweet. She says that to everybody. And I remembered to say, how are you tonight? She says, I'm great. I just did a great show. And I said, I am too. I just watched your great show.
That is so me.
Yeah, like 18 inches from your face. It was amazing. Anyway, so like we chatted, and I was like, you know, I've been working with, you know, the person you're signing the CD for, her name is Sarah. She works on Gagaverse, and we've been archiving your music for years. We're about 30,000 different remixes of your songs. She says, wow. She says, I want to hear them. Make me a playlist. I said, you got it. I will make you a Gaga Daily playlist. So that was at the Satellite in October. Fast forward to the Joanne World Tour in 2017. I put 600 of the best remixes in my whole collection. I got it down to 600.
Which, to be fair, that is a very small fraction of what you have. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a small fraction of 30,000.
Right.
I don't know what the percentage. But yeah, I gave her that, and unfortunately I didn't get enough time to tell her, but because at that point, when I saw her at the Joanne World Tour, everybody was getting only 5 seconds. So I had 2 people who were backstage who were not Gaga fans who gave me their 5 seconds. So I had a total of 15 seconds, which was fantastic.
That's amazing. And so short.
So I know, it's so sad. And then I couldn't even give it to her physically. I had to give it to a stage manager who promised me and swore she would leave it in Gaga's dressing room. So I put my Twitter hashtag, I put my phone number, everything on the iPod explaining what it was, and hoped for the best. It came with the headphones because I wanted her to be able to put it on and listen to it. I hope she did.
Aww.
So I was able to at the Joanne World Tour, and I was able to talk to her as they're taking the photo. And I was able to say, hi, remember you met me at the Satellite? I brought you that playlist. And she said, oh, thank you so much. And so I didn't get the chance to really speak with her more about it. But I think, the time is coming. I mean, there is no reason on this planet why I shouldn't be able to interview her myself someday. If I work hard enough and try hard. And, there'll be a chance where I don't have to worry about a 15-second time frame where I can just say, hey, this is what I do, and I'd love to share it with you. And I think this is important that you have a record of how your fans have perceived your fame over the years and have taken the input you've given them and put out this beautiful output of sound. Like yourself, Jeremy. I mean, you've taken the inspiration that this woman has given you, and you have let it fire your creativity, and you've put out all these beautiful remixes over the years that are just treasures that we have. I mean, so it's just everybody's their own prism.
Fact. That's fact.
No, but her inspiration is really where that
Your
comes
telephone
from.
remix stands as the best telephone remix of all time, but we're not going to.
Oh my god, Bae, that's very kind of you as my husband to say. But
one ringy dingy. One ringy dingy.
That was the moment right there that I knew. I was like, I like this girl. Because she knew that sample that I used from the Lily Tomlin thing. And no one else knew what that was.
Okay, now what was it that you were... Sorry.
You and I are older fans, so we're going to have older, knowledge bases. Right. I think... I don't say that badly. There are going to be some young people who know who Lily Tomlin is.
Right,
But the average on the street might not recognize a show from almost 50 years ago. It was Laugh-In, right?
Right, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So
it was Laugh-In, and that's a program from almost 50 years ago. So, I mean...
Now, what was it that you were wanting to say? You said something before Jeremy said something?
I'm sorry.
I can't remember anymore. It's all just a blur. I'm honored that you guys would even want to talk to me about this. It amazes me that people care about her musical archives and legacy as it's seen through the filter of fans. I mean, you put on the rose-colored glasses of being a fan, and what you see when you look out of them are these creative outputs of sound. We have all these remixes from different walks of life, from different levels of talent, different places around the world. You can hear tribal stuff from South America. You can hear this amazing techno stuff from Eastern Europe and, areas where you wouldn't expect. I mean, I really have trouble using Google Translate with Japan and China, but you have amazing covers and works of Japan and China. I mean, I have above me CDs from Japanese releases of Gaga remixes and stuff. So, I mean, it's just, there's this wonderful, fascinating, it's deep. And you can apply this to any artist. I mean, I chose Lady Gaga.
Right.
If you think about it, any artist, and you'd have this same wonderful wealth of potential.
It's you and
inspiration
Janet.
if you have, yeah, if you have someone who's willing to do the digging. So, I thank you guys for caring about what I do.
Yeah.
I thank you for being the person that has dedicated themselves to ensuring that
the legacy lives on.
Yes, and that is important work. And there is so much data and media and content out there. Who am I telling?
Right.
Sorry.
Well, I just want to thank Katharine so much.
Yes, thank you so much
for being with us here today to talk about Lady Gaga.
It was so fun. I had a blast. I actually learned a lot, and it was really nice as a super fan myself to be able to live vicariously through you and your dive bar experience.
Yeah, hearing about the other experiences of other super fans is super.
It's such a small world. Do we have room for me to say one tiny thing
Yeah.
later?
Yeah.
Because I feel like there was a couple tiny things that I'll keep it brief. But
No, you're fine.
Don't you rush. You're fine.
I don't think they have all the shows she ever did. I remember talking with somebody. The early stuff, I don't think we have a lot of. And if somebody caught it on their cell phone in many instances, that's another thing I want to do. I want to start a website where if you had Gaga footage that you took at your show, we consider it to be historically valuable. And we want you, if you could, to submit it for history along with as much information as you know about each clip so that we can kind of build a spectrum of her talent through the years.
Ooh.
That's really cool. I
If
like that
any
concept.
of you out there are a Gaga super fan and you have some old footage of Gaga, we'll leave a link so you can contact Katharine and maybe share that with her, and then
Oh,
we'll
that'd be cool.
and so we'll update that information if there is a website at some point to do. We'll update that.
Bringing fans.
Yeah, and we'll give you full credit. I don't want people to think I'm stealing their stuff and calling it mine. We will give you full credit, and we will say this is for history and this was uploaded by so and so. And if you don't want credit, that's okay too. We're just happy to have the footage because it's people like you guys who recorded stuff at the time, and it's going to be part of putting together the history as it happened, so to speak.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you
for doing this. Like, I really do appreciate it.
It was really nice to finally meet you.
Oh my god, pause up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Rah,
Oh my god.
I haven't done pause up at somebody in so long.
Okay.
That was so much fun.
Holy crap. So, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this, please make sure to like and subscribe. You already know the deal. And
we'll post some videos here and here, so you can click on that and enjoy some more content from the channel.
And we've got some retroactive Gaga reactions coming. We've got a lot of good content coming your way. So, please tune in. Thank you for watching, and as always, step your kitty up.